Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are now rocking with the best podcast on the planet, the DL Connection.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm laughing because David is the one who picks the songs for the intro, so I never know what's coming up. And that one was interesting. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. But we just want to thank you for tuning in tonight. You know, you could be doing something else. You could be somewhere else, but every Monday, 7 p.m. we will be here. I'd like to apologize if my internet connection is poor. I'm up in the mountains right now, and Wi-Fi is scarce up here, but I'm trying my best. And if not, David will definitely keep you guys entertained. But we'd just like to thank you all for joining us tonight, at the DL Connection podcast. Make sure you give us our likes or thumbs up, whatever that good stuff is. You check us out live exclusively on the DL Connection podcast Facebook page and on our DL Connection podcast YouTube page. You can also comment on Facebook and YouTube. You can let us know comments if you have any questions for our guests. Do you have anything going on? And just a quick reminder, we do have our logo contest. Design us a logo. We are giving away a gift card or some kind of prize, something going on. We are going to give you something. If you can design a logo, send it to us, email it to us at the dlconnectionpodcast@gmail.com. Email it to us there so we can check out the logos. Maybe we'll take a vote. We'll do something like that. But we need a logo. We don't need some little pink microphone that David likes to put up there every time. But
what's wrong with pink, bro?
The pink is cool, man. I'm cool with pink, but I'm just saying, we need something, we need something better. We need something from someone's heart. So design us a logo, everybody. We'll make some t-shirts. We'll make some stickers. We'll do something with it. And that'll be your artwork, and we'll give you the credit.
And we need it quick because that pink logo is already like attached in my brain. Every time I see that pink microphone or that pink logo, I already think of the DL Connection. So we don't want people to get already attached to that. We want to get something legit so that you guys can know and all that good stuff.
Very, 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 very true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, lots of stuff's going on in the world today. As you know, riots, craziness, looting, destruction, racially provoked attacks. Things are happening, and as believers in Christ, we know bad things are going to happen. That's the world, and people can say, hey, why would God have this evil? People can blame God, but the bottom line is we need to trust in the Lord in these times. And too many people are trying to rely and trust on the government, relying on the president to fix everything. But guess what? The only one that can fix it all is Jesus Christ. And that's the bottom line, whether you believe or you don't believe. That's the truth. And so as we see, I'm up in the mountains right now.
Check this out, Lonnie, real quick.
Yes, sir.
This is stuff that we've been talking about. Well, not that we've been talking about it, but we've been talking about it today at work. Everybody wants to talk about what's going on and all that. And there's one guy in specific that we kind of have these types of conversations, talking about COVID and politics and that type of thing. And what I'm hearing a lot is, protesting is fine. That's cool as long as they don't get criminal and all that, which I agree. But I tell these guys, and I think this is kind of fits into what you just said, is that, bro, the bottom line, I think the bottom line is that it's a sin issue. It's a human nature issue. It's a bullying issue. It's a racist issue. It's a sin issue. Whatever you want to call it, it comes down to sin. Whether you like to speed in your car and show off, I don't know, steal something from a store, it comes down to sin. And 100%. Some people want to, they want to see it as something else, I think, but really it's a sin issue. But I just wanted to bring that up there.
Yeah, 100%. And, I don't know where you're at tonight, but, I've had friends send me pictures of, hey, I have a buddy, Ivan, who has a water store in Long Beach, and they destroyed his whole water store. It's a water store. They sell water. They sell water containers. The most valuable thing might have been the lotto tickets in there, but he's a smart guy, so I'm sure he took those out. But they just did it as destruction because they could. Now, are those people destructing and looting standing up for anything? I don't believe they are. And what sucks about the whole situation is there is righteous people out there protesting injustice, but they get faded out and drowned out because all the looters and the rioters, people that just want to have total anarchy. And so tonight we're gonna have some different perspectives. We're gonna have a guest on, Miss Kristina. She was out at a peaceful protest in Chino the other day, and protesting what she can. As an American, we can protest. We have that freedom. We can stand up for what we believe is right, and that's what she was doing. And then she ran into some complications afterwards with family members and the police and things like that we'll discuss. And then we also have a police officer who's an active officer coming on, and he sees things firsthand, and he sees the animosity towards police officers nowadays, and so we're going to bring on our guests now, and we're just going to discuss things. Like I said, put in the comments what you want to discuss. If you have any questions for our guests, give them questions. Please keep everything clean. We had some foul language last time. We don't put up with that. This is a family-friendly show. This is a Christian perspective podcast. So keep everything clean. You don't have to agree with us. You don't have to agree with our guest, and we can have a great discussion. We're not here to argue. We're not here to fight. We're not here to tell each other off. We're here to just have a discussion about our views as people. And so we're going to bring on our guests now. Let's just welcome Jason and Kristina, or Christine. I don't know, Christine or Kristina. Well, Kristina.
Yeah.
Okay, Kristina. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. I get
we
everything.
got Mr. Yeah. So, Kristina and Jason, we'd like to welcome to the DL Connection podcast. Thank you for coming on as last minute guests. With everything going on, we just thought, hey, this is a perfect fit. You guys got different perspectives on situations happening right now, so we just like to welcome you guys.
Thank you so much for having
Appreciate you letting us come on your podcast.
And literally, like
Yes.
minute, sort of. I mean, Kristina didn't answer my text from 9:10 a.m. this morning. I had to go through another brother that had to go through her, but everything worked out. And then Jason couldn't figure out some technical things, but we got him.
It's not Apple-friendly software here.
Oh man!
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I'm not an Apple kind of guy, so yeah, I that's what it is,
you remember what happened with the Apple back in the day, right? Who bit it and messed everything up? So.
We know who did it. We followed through real quick and said, yeah, I'll take a bite too.
Exactly. So, Kristina, you were at a protest the other day, a peaceful protest in Chino. No rioters, no looters. You guys were just displaying your signs, protesting, the injustice. And can you just give us a little quick few minutes about that?
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm on a group text with several ladies from actually a mix of Chino Hills and just some other fellowships. I've just met a nice group of ladies who live locally, and one of them had sent a text that there were a couple local protests happening in Chino as well as Eastvale. So I was like, oh, I'd love to go. And kind of like you said, I prayed, Lord, please let it be peaceful. Please let it be, calm and no crime and all that good stuff. So like you said, our voices could be heard. And honestly, it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. People from all walks of life, all ages, all backgrounds, just there supporting. I mean, some people had, different motivations in terms of their message or what they were protesting. But for me, I was there just to encourage us to seek justice. The verse that the Lord gave to me is Micah 6:8. It talks about seeking justice, loving mercy, and walking humbly with the Lord. And for me, that's what it's about. I just wanted my voice to be heard regarding the incident and what I feel the action should be. So it was wonderful. There were actually a few officers who drove by, and one of them actually honked with us, which was really, really nice because there was no animosity there. I did see one sign or two with some not so nice verbiage, but for the most part, people were genuinely just wanting to raise awareness regarding what happened to George Floyd and just speaking out regarding the justice that they desire for him.
Yeah. I see the problem in America right now is if one person of whether a race or a profession or a religious background, if they do something wrong, everybody else is labeled into them. So if an officer does something wrong, every officer bad. If a black person does something wrong, every black person. If a pastor does something wrong, every pastor is bad. And people don't know how to differentiate the different people, that everybody is not the same, that we're all different and we all have different, views. And
I couldn't agree more. I think something that's just hard is that I think people think because they know an officer or they love an officer, there's an officer in their family, they can't say that what happened was wrong because they'd be, saying that, oh, I'm speaking against the police. And that's not the case. We love the police. I mean, they keep us safe. They risk their lives for us every day. I'm so thankful for, good policemen, men of integrity who genuinely desire to uphold the law and protect and serve. And so I think, what happened was wrong. And it's not a representation of all police, but it is a representation of what someone in power who is not probably not walking with the Lord and probably just lacks compassion and has some type of hatred in his heart, what that looks like. He just happened to be wearing a badge. I mean, whether he was wearing a badge or not, it was wrong.
Yeah. And you said it 100% right there, not walking with the Lord. If those officers had a relationship with Jesus Christ, they would have known, what's going on in the situation, and they would have took a step back, And Jason and I are really good friends. He's my spades partner. We play cards a lot. We hang out. But back in the days before I came to the Lord, I would have wanted nothing to do with Jason. I didn't like the police, and our pastor said it perfect this weekend. He said, pastor said, I didn't like the police back in the days because I was doing something wrong. When I was doing something wrong, I didn't like the police, but once I gave my heart to the Lord, and I was like, I love everybody, and some people are harder to love than others, and that is a true fact. But I love my brother Jason, and I love David sometimes, just a little bit.
Yeah, bro, that's that's the first thing that came into my mind. No, but I got a little story about Jason. I'll just share right now. Before I actually met him, I was getting off work one day, and I was
probably arrested you.
Well, I mean, he probably wanted to. I don't know. I mean, but he pulls me over, right? Pulls me over in my car, and I'm looking at him. I don't know if you remember this or not, Jason, but I'm looking at him. I'm like, man, this guy looks so familiar. Where do I know him from? But I couldn't put it together. So I forgot what it was. I think he said I didn't have no license plate in the front bumper or something like that. And so here we are at church like a year later. I'm in the gazebo, and I asked Angel Iniguez, I said, hey, because I saw him talking to each other. I'm like, hey, what does that guy do for a living? He says, oh, he's an officer. I said, okay, that was him. I knew it was him. So,
And then you threw something at him?
Yeah, we were at church, so he couldn't do nothing.
I think one of the big issues
okay, go ahead.
with what's going on right now is people have made up their minds of what they think about cops a lot of times, and there's a lot of animosity towards cops. But how many people have come to talk to us, say, hey, what do you think about this incident? They've made up their mind. They haven't asked, because I'll tell you, with where I work and the people I've talked to, so far no one said, yep, what that cop did was right. Everybody said, no, that cop committed a crime and needs to be locked up. But there's a lot of animosity that comes towards us just because I'm in uniform. And it's hard to explain. I get it double-edged because of my race. People in my race don't like me because of what I've done. I get called all sorts of names all the time. But I got a job to do, and we're just going to do it. So I think that's the biggest thing is people have already got a preconceived notion of what the cops are going to think about this incident. And there are times with incidents that we may have a difference of opinion on how things happen, but that's what we have the criminal justice system for. And you get to go to court and get tried, whether you were or you were not guilty. So there's a lot that goes into it. And sometimes until you're in the shoes, and there's times I don't agree with a lot of what cops do. I act a lot differently than a lot of them, but I think a lot of folks need to see what it's like to be in our shoes sometimes and the positions that we're put in. Sometimes you're in a position where there's no right answer because people are mad. They want people to go to jail. On this side, these people don't want people to go to jail. And sometimes people do bad things and got to go to jail.
True. Amen to that. Yeah, and I like what you said, that people already have that perception, and no matter, and a lot of times, face it, we're stubborn. People are selfish, they're prideful, and they're stubborn. That's the nature that we have. Kids have it, growing up, and so we carry that into our adulthood. And so once we set our minds to something, it's like, oh, my mind's set. You can't really change my mind. And I've learned in my walk, because I'm a stubborn, prideful person, and I've learned in my walk that I have to have an open mind. I mean, my wife's over here saying thank you for your service, Jason. She loves you and God bless you richly. And my wife knows I'm stubborn and I have to have an open mind to things. And but yeah, I totally agree with you, Jason. And Kristina, something happened. David was sharing with me that something happened with your brother. If you'd like to share that.
Yeah. So I live in a little neighborhood in Chino. We moved here a few years ago. And it's a very nice, quiet neighborhood, very suburban. And my brother was in town. He actually doesn't live with us, but he was in town for my niece's birthday this weekend. And he was exercising in a park just across the street. And he stands up and there are two armed officers in front of him asking him for his ID. And so he starts to ask them, what's going on, what happened. And I guess someone had called the police on him while he was exercising. And, so they questioned him, and thankfully the officers were very, very kind. He kind of told them, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not doing anything wrong. And they didn't push it. And after they asked a few questions, they left. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to be emotional. My parents were very shaken up. My brother is known to have a little bit of a temper. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
No worries. Take your time.
The fact that the Lord had his hand on the whole situation, that he stayed calm, that the officers stayed calm, and that, is so the Lord, and I'm so thankful. But my mom did, just reach out to the officers just to have a conversation. And I'm blessed. One of the captains at the Chino Police Department came and had a conversation with my parents. My mom was just wanting to just dialogue with them about, their approach, because of how sometimes, when some people see officer, they're excited. They're like, oh, or my friendly neighborhood officer, I'm so excited, I feel safe. But for some people, that narrative is different. When they see an officer, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's, oh my gosh, am I in trouble? Did I do something wrong? So for him, again, it's a little bit more nerve-wracking because, he could have got angry, after seeing the George Floyd situation, and so I'm thankful that it didn't escalate to that. But the officer came and again had dialogue, and my mom just encouraged them, don't always assume the worst. Just going up to someone asking for their ID and they see you're armed and ready, it can breed anxiety for sure. She just encouraged them, don't always assume the worst. I know that that's your job, but the person who called and said there's someone in the park, did you question them? Did you ask what he was doing wrong? Why you're calling on him? Did you investigate? Even with my brother, like, say hello. What are you up to? Like, does it have to be like, show me your ID? Again, thankfully the Lord had his hand on the whole situation and nothing came of it, but definitely was a little bit nerve-wracking for my parents.
I got that picture. Do you mind if I throw it up right now?
Not at all.
So we can see. Okay. So tell us the emotion. I can see emotion, and that's your mom right there, right?
Yeah, that's my mom.
I see the emotion. Do you remember what was happening exactly at that point right there?
I think the officer was extremely gracious. He's actually a believer, and thankfully he was very understanding regarding the whole situation, very open to what my mom had to say. But my mom was just heavy. Her heart was heavy. Because again, knowing my brother and his personality, and if, wrong place, wrong time, or wrong officer, wrong time, that could have ended totally differently, very easily. So she was just concerned about what happened, and just again, encouraging the officer to just not assume the worst.
Amen.
The situation is a difficult one. I've been stopped as a police officer, and before I was a police officer, for being black. It happens. Okay. But I also understand sometimes what goes on. They get a call. We don't get to talk to the people that call. A dispatcher handles that. They put it out. We have to go to the call and deal with it. We have no idea who we're talking to. We always go to every call that we are armed. There's always a gun on our hips. I mean, we're going to talk to you, and we don't know this person from anyone else. And there is no set what someone looks like that wants to hurt us. And some officers come a little more aggressive than others, some a little less, and everyone's developed their style by what they've done or who they deal with. And a lot of it depends on which city, where you grew up and cut your teeth as a police officer at, to how you act with people. I think me being born and raised in the city and working in a city, I have a lot more experience than others. I've been on the job for a long time, so I understand things. And people call us and say things all the time. We don't know if they're true, if they're false, but we have to go out and investigate it, because if we flip the script and your mom called on someone, what happens when you start questioning someone that calls? They get mad at the dispatcher and yelling, I just need an officer out here. So now it's our job to go figure this out with very little information. And sometimes people are mad, but the best advice I can give people is just go with the program. Don't yell at the officer. People have their rights. If you don't want to show your ID or give your name, that's up to you. But if you've done nothing wrong, here you go. Here's my ID, and you're going to be sent on your way very shortly. But you don't have to do that. I encourage people to be cooperative and friendly. It's because when both, like you said, your brother can get a little attitude sometimes, there's cops out there that can do the same thing. And when those two meet is when issues arise. A lot of times just talking calmly can smooth the situation, whether it's the cop that's in the wrong or the person they're talking to is in the wrong. And I'll tell you my experience when I stop talking to someone, because I've had this happen. All right. After we figure out what's going on and I tell you you're not the person I'm looking for or whatever, I apologize and tell you why I stopped you. So you know why. And then we can go on about our business. If you're still not happy with that, then you go file a complaint with the police department. But a lot of times officers, we don't get a choice in the matter of who we go and talk to when there's a call for service. You always got the nosy neighbors that will call and say everything about everybody. So it's tough. What I do encourage people to do, and probably once all this nonsense is over, it might be easier to happen, is go on a ride along with your local police department. Get a chance to ride 3 to 8 hours in the car and see what they get, see what they do. Every agency I know allows that to happen, so you can come in their perspective. It's a lot harder now for a police officer that's white to go in the black community and see what their perspective on things. But we as black folks can go over there and see that perspective and see, okay, this is why the cops are doing what they do. I think that's a great asset, and let you get to know someone personally, because most people don't know cops personally, and we only know these stories. The other big thing with police officers is 99% of your contact with an officer comes in a negative manner. When do you see cops? When your house got broken into, when you got beat up, someone got shot or killed, when they're giving you a ticket. It's very rare that you see a police officer in just a regular light as a regular person. So when you get the chance to go to these coffee with the cops that happen and get a chance to sit down, break bread with the cops, or one that you might know at church, I think it makes a huge difference with people when they get to know officers on a personal level and know, all right, yeah, I understand that. Or when you get to see why they did what they did. And I'll be one, I'm very open about who I am and everything about me. If people come up and ask questions, I'll answer their questions even at work. Doesn't matter to me who you are, where you came from. I'm a very diverse person at that, with all these races in my family.
And he's a really good fisherman. I just had to put that in there. He likes to catch fish, and just really good.
I got a question for you, Jason. Thinking of because this happened a week ago today, right? I think that's a timeline right there. So what's the difference? I mean, all I know from police officers is what like what you're telling us right now, and I really think that's good information for the people to hear and understand. The other information I get from police officers is what I watch on TV, Blue Bloods, that kind of thing. What's
I like Blue Bloods, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's one of our favorite shows right there.
Tom Selleck, man, you can't go wrong with Tom Selleck. Sorry,
yeah.
Dave. Sorry.
You like it because there's a lot of alcohol in it, bro. It just makes it look cool, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So what's the, I'm assuming you guys get together for like a roll call, right? In the morning or whenever your shifts are, and you kind of go over the daily briefings and all that. What has been the difference in those roll calls or those instructions from the 24th or from the 25th to the 26th and to now? Has there been like, be careful, watch out, handle it this way now, or
I've been very fortunate and blessed the time off that I have, that I've only had to work. I think I was there Thursday and Friday. I was off Saturday, Sunday. But I will say I was glued to my radio here at home, listening to what was going on in my city. And trying to follow what's going on. Have things changed? Yeah, we're going to be more careful. The big thing was make sure you have all your equipment. Make sure you have your helmet and everything, just in case it goes sideways. But as far as the way we're doing police work, nothing has changed for us. We do the same thing that we were doing before. The biggest difference now is officers may be pulled from handling regular patrol stuff to go on this line to protect certain properties and try to keep people from damaging it. There isn't, I don't think, an officer that doesn't support, hey, if you guys want to go out there and protest, go protest. We understand. I told you before, I don't think there's a cop yet that I've met that said, hey, what that cop did was good. Absolutely not. We can critique it and what I think he did wrong and what was done wrong, maybe two separate things, because my training is obviously a lot different than the training they have back in the East. We do things a lot differently out here than they do there. But we continue to be, you have to continue, and I hope everyone continues to be who they are. If I had to change, and obviously I wasn't a very good police officer to begin with, I got to keep, I'm the same cop I am today as I was yesterday, and I hope in 2 weeks from now. And just stay the same and be who I am. Be the God-fearing man that I am and treat everybody how I want my family. I got family locked up. I got a cousin doing 28 with an L right now.
Wow.
So I have family on both sides of the issue, and it doesn't matter to me. I want him treated fairly, but if he he cuts up, and officers have to do what they have to do sometimes. But I know that we don't live in a perfect world, far from it. We're a very sinful world, and people are going to do things. And just because someone's a cop doesn't make them a good person either. A lot of people have taken that test and get hired, and people slip through the cracks. No matter how hard they try to keep people out that shouldn't be there, they slip through and make it in. But yeah. I ask that you don't judge officers for theirs, just like you don't want officers to judge people by their race or by who they hang out with. Because if I did that, I'd not have a whole lot of friends, because me and Lonnie wouldn't be friends. I'm sure of that.
I don't call you my friend anyways. I call you the cop I know that could write off my ticket. So I'm just kidding. No, and I'll be honest with you. My parents aren't racist. My sister, like everybody I lived with, wasn't racist. But growing up in a bad neighborhood, where I grew up was mostly Latino and Black, and where I spent most of my time, you were taught in school to not like each other. It was just, not by the teachers, but by each other. It was a thing. It's like, okay, well, I was like a minority, and I hung out with all the Mexican people. I hung out with the Latinos. I had some Black friends, but the Latinos were like, oh no, you can't hang out with the Black friends, I mean, and they do the same thing in the penitentiary system. I'm in the prison ministry, and you go in there and it's like The only time you see the different races getting together is in the chapel. But as we watch these guys walk out, they have to go to their separate ways, and they don't want to. They're not seeing, our pastor said it great this Sunday that there's only one color, and it's red, the blood of Jesus Christ. There's no neighborhoods in heaven. There's no race in heaven. We don't see that. But people don't see that. And I see that on the streets, and I saw that growing up. I'm like, well, I'm told I'm not supposed to like this person. I don't know why I'm not supposed to like this person. Or even someone like, oh, well, this guy lives 2 blocks down from my house. He's in a different neighborhood, so I can't like him because I live in this neighborhood, and we can't be friends. And a lot of that I think really happens at a young age, and then it just keeps perceiving. But I mean, if I said anything racist at all in my house, like I would, my dad would smack me across the mouth. My older sister would. She would, you couldn't say nothing bad. She would, and she used to beat me up. So Amanda, if you're watching, I remember you. But yeah, I really see it from a young age in more rougher neighborhoods, and even in nicer neighborhoods. If you're living in an all white neighborhood, you have no interaction with Black people or Mexican people or Asian people, and then so when you come out into the real world, it's like, well, all I know is white people, so that's who I'm going to stick with. And a lot of people do that, and I see that, and we do have a racial issue in this country. I think we have a racial issue in this world. And someone posted the other day that they're from a different country, but they said racism is like legal in their country, like it's like practice. He didn't say what other country he's from, but he's like, if you're not of this race, then you're on the bottom regardless. And it was like, so it was something that they grew up with every single day, and it's not right. I don't think it's right. I don't think we should hate people because of the color of their skin. I mean, we shouldn't hate people at all. Do we have to like everybody? I mean, as believers, we're supposed to love everybody, but we don't have to like them, but we love them. Sometimes we have to love people from afar, and sometimes it's our family members. But yeah, I do believe there's a race problem, and but the looting and the rioting and the destroying, because people want to come out. We got these groups, Antifa. I always say it wrong. But they're coming out and just making, total chaos, and that's what they're thriving on. Any situation, they're like, oh, we can thrive on this, and then you got these stories after stories. Oh, there are pallets of bricks here. This is going, like, just you nowadays, you don't know what to believe in the media. You get this little bits and pieces, and you can see something going on, and you think, oh, well, that's the stance I'm going to take, because that's what I saw on Instagram, or that's what I saw on Twitter, or, oh man, you seen those videos on Snapchat and Facebook, and I'm going to stand on that stance. And it might be totally something that you would never agree with, but you see these little tiny bits and pieces of this 1 minute video, this 30-second clip, this post about something, and I seen a post earlier. I'm not going to say his name. He's a famous basketball player, and he had a picture of the police building burning in Minneapolis, and he said, "Burn, a bad word, let it burn." And then a few days later, they were riding in front of his house, and he's like, we had to beat them off the gates, and they destroyed the Starbucks, and someone needs to get these MRFers out of here. So it's like, wow. It was okay when it wasn't in your front yard, but when it comes to your front yard, now it's an issue. And I really see that being a problem in this country right now, in this world, really.
Yeah, I think so. That's why social media can be very dangerous. Again, it's who you follow and what you're reading that determines what you think, versus, again, like, I know for me, say, when I was getting ready to go to the protest, I was nervous because I had seen looting and all these crazy things, but I prayed and I felt peace about it, and I went, and I'm thankful that I went and was able to experience a peaceful gathering of people. And again, when I see these posts about the looting and things, of course it's awful and it's wrong and it should not be happening, and it totally distracts from, the issue at hand. And yet to assume that, everyone's out here, and again, everyone doesn't like their police officers and things like that. That's not right. That's a very small percentage of people who are, like you said, using this as an opportunity to sin, to loot, to, you know, disrespect authority and things like that. And that's not cool.
Yeah, you know,
not at all.
I was,
and what I'm seeing too from watching the news channels. Oh, go ahead, David.
No, I was just gonna.
Go ahead, David.
I was just gonna mention that, you know, even it got real close to our work too. I mean, you know, the way that I come to work is one way. The way my supervisor comes to work, he comes from sort of the opposite direction. And the first thing he told me this morning was, "No more breakfast burritos." And I said, "What? What? I know. I figured he was trying to tell me something. I just didn't realize what." And he goes, "Yeah, it's they broke into it. You know, they smashed it and all that other stuff." And I'm like, "What?" I go, "How do you know?" I go, "Because he told me, because he came from that way off the 210 freeway in Waterman." And I'm like, "Oh man, you know, because they were only $2.50. That's why we love that place. You get breakfast burritos for $2.50.
That's a deal.
Yeah, it is. But about 2 hours later, we went on a test drive from I work Waterman and 6th Street. We went north on Waterman, and I took video of it. It's real bouncy, but or else I would have played it for us right now. But all the stores, you know, or probably 60% of the store, at least 50% of the stores, windows smashed, you know, tire and rim places smashed, Stater Brothers smashed into, Jack in the Box smashed into, the burrito place that we go to smashed into, F the police spray painted on the walls, you know, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, all these things. Just like we only went for about probably a 2-mile stretch because you know, we were just test driving. We didn't want to get caught up and keep going or anything like that. But it sort of turned into like a you know, scary situation for us. I went on a service call today. Went to Menifee. While I was out there, I reported to my boss what I found on a certain truck that I went to go do a checkup on. So he told me, "Okay, let me call you back. Let me tell his boss," you know. And he called me back and he said, "Okay, just tell the customer this and that. Just head on back because there's some people. We've had reports of people breaking into a bank and starting to break into another bank. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But it just got to a point." He goes, "Yeah, the boss wants us all back because he wants to send us home." So you know, it's one thing to see it on TV, but to see it right around the corner from your work, it's just kind of like a trippy thing to experience.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
As it gets closer,
yeah, and
Lonnie said, as it gets closer to individuals is when it starts getting real. It was the same with the coronavirus. The coronavirus, everybody had their own thoughts about it. Initially, it was like it was nothing. But all of a sudden, once you started having family members that catch it or family members that die from it, it became very real. Just like the rioting and looting has become real the closer it gets. I mean, my phone on Facebook keeps blowing up. A lot of the stuff, I'm like, okay, police wouldn't say stuff like this, so I know they're like, the police told us this. Yeah, that's not true. But still, people, and to see the stores around my neighborhood, they've boarded them up. They all closed early. It's close. Then the fear mongering because they're saying, hey, they want to come to neighborhoods next. Well, it gets real and people are scared, and I can't blame them. But I don't know what the answer is. I don't think anybody has the answer to how to solve this and fix the problem that people see. And everybody sees the problem from a different perspective. And that's the biggest issue that's there is the problem is seen from, I see it from one perspective. Kristina sees it from one. Lonnie seeing it from one side. And we just go back and forth. And we're none. And that's the beautiful thing about us being all different people is we do see things differently. I think one of the biggest things that has to happen, though, is people have to be willing to discuss things. And we don't always have to agree on things, but be able to have a conversation with each other. But it's gotten to the point that if you don't agree with me, you're a racist. Or if you don't agree with me, you're just absolutely dumb and wrong. Well, let's talk to each other and see why. There may be a reason why we see things differently. Maybe how we grew up. It may be the color of our skin. I think more than the color of our skin, a lot of things that happens is your economic background on how you grew up. Because we're no Lonnie, obviously Lonnie's a white guy, but he didn't grow up like your typical white guy, because I think everybody that knows Lonnie would think he was probably Hispanic, but that's how he grew up and that's how he acted. And where you grew up plays such a big role in it. But until we're able to see each other and have a conversation, I don't think we're going to change things anytime soon. And there's other groups out there that have, NAFTA has hijacked the protest and have turned it from what could be a good thing and, hey, I just want my voice heard and I want you to know how we're feeling, to NAFTA hijacks it, and now we have looting and rioting, how does that make the people that are out there protesting look?
Yeah, I totally agree that was very well said in terms of, like you said, having the different perspectives. I think one of the things, though, I am struggling with is I don't understand why we can't all agree on something really basic, like what happened to George Floyd was wrong. I feel like as believers who think murder is wrong, we all stand up for things like abortion is wrong and murder is wrong. And like you said, people should pay for their crimes. As believers, I think we should all be able to agree that what happened to him was wrong. And again, when people are saying hurt cops or, people are looting, we should all be able to say looting is wrong. Violence is wrong. And that's, I struggle a little bit when people don't want to speak up on what is very, to me, basic right and wrong.
So have you heard anyone say that wasn't wrong?
You know what? I haven't heard anyone say right and wrong, but I'll tell you what I mean. So thankfully, I've actually gotten a lot of prayer requests for people, who know cops, who have cops in their family, who are friends with cops. I have yet to get like anyone saying, "Oh, I'm praying for George Floyd's family." I don't understand why we wouldn't be praying for George Floyd's family. And even like the people that are angry, again, as believers, why aren't we praying for them to be filled with God's Holy Spirit, for God to take away their anger and their frustration and to give them a sense of peace and a sense of purpose, and not allow the enemy to rob them and turn this situation into something so ugly?
I think a lot of what you hear, because I don't necessarily tell people who all I'm praying for, right? Especially like I'm not going to come up to you and tell you, hey, I'm praying for Floyd's family. I mean, that's here. A lot of that is personal. It's me and God talking. So you may not be getting that because you don't have a connection to Floyd. Now, if you had a connection to him, then yeah, I may tell you. It's just like they know you got a connection to an officer or to a fireman or whoever, then they may tell you that. But a lot of times they're not telling you who you're praying for, because I don't tell you praying for my wife. I don't tell you pray for Lonnie. All that stuff. You
better be praying for me.
It's a personal thing sometimes. Unless I know you have a connection to them, then I'm not. There's out of this whole thing. Then we look at all the evil that's come from this. You had that security / officer up there in Oakland that was killed in a drive-by, and no one's saying anything about that. And he just so happened to be another black guy working here and got killed, but no one's saying. And there's a lot that goes on, and both sides we grasp at little things on both sides, when if we sit down and talk to each other, maybe we can understand better about what's going on. It's real big. The biggest thing, though, is we don't know everybody, and we don't put everything out there. I know I don't put everything out there. I'm somewhat of a private guy because of what I do and just who I am. I'm not an out there in your face type of guy. But if you have something and you're personally close to them, yeah, I'm going to tell you, hey, just like we do most people, hey, I'm praying for you. Someone in your family died, and I'm praying for you and your family. But how many of us had a personal connection to Floyd? Only reason we know about him is because he made it into the media. And that's it. And the media hasn't picked up, because of everything that's going on, hasn't picked up all these other stories of the people that were killed. So it's hard. We want to pray for everyone, but we just don't always put it out there. And people, when they don't know, put it out there to us, like think that maybe these cops think this way. But I'm going to tell you from everyone, and not just my department, but I get a chance to work with officers from a bunch of different agencies across the nation, in fact. And I haven't found one yet that says, yeah, what he did was okay. There's nothing that can be said. Can I say what he did was okay? Absolutely not. What he did, what I saw, absolutely. You don't do things like that. You don't hold someone down on the ground for 9 minutes. And it's the getting out and talking to people. And a lot of times the same things that people don't want officers to do are the exact same things that they do to us. I remember recently an event that I was working. I had probably a 45-minute conversation with a young man about this exact same topics. And this was before this all kicked off. And drawing lines in the sand. And he was like, nope, there's a line. There's us and them. Well, as soon as you say there's an us and them, then how do we get together? There's not. There's only one. There's only one of us. Just because I happen to put on a uniform for my job, it's just like any other job. And who do you want out here doing it? And the other thing is, if you don't like the way police work is done, you got to come out and do it. You got to be the change, the catalyst to change. My boy Tillman does excellent work, has a great podcast, and puts it out there. I love what he does and try to get out there. Tillman is one of those guys. I remember meeting Tillman at a men's retreat when he was a lot younger, and he didn't like the cops. But look at him now, because he took the chance to, like, I'm going to go do this and show. The other thing is, and it's hard because in the black community, I'm going to tell you, being a police officer is not, even in my own family, it's not looked down as good. I see stuff posted on the internet about everything that's going on, and stuff is made, and then they'll be like, you say, hey, so what are you calling me? Oh, but you're different. But you've never talked to these guys. Never have. We have to get together, and this and them has to change, and we have to get closer. And the black community has to see, and we need to get our young black men to grow up to, hey, law enforcement's a good career to get into. Go do it. See what it's about. And I think if we can start doing that, we may be able to start seeing some change. Is it going to happen overnight? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it can change. It's going to take time, and through all things. Yeah. All things are possible, right?
Amen. Yeah, that's well said. I agree. I think having representation of all backgrounds on the police force is extremely important. And again, I want to echo, I am so thankful for everything you do to protect us. I just want to make sure that's crystal clear.
But I do got to say, Jason, I am going to fry some better fish than you this week. I just got to let you know that. We thank you for your service as an officer, but I will fry a better fish than you.
You don't even know. He can't even clean a fish, let alone fry one.
Hey, I heard at the last father and son trip we had last year that Lonnie got fish from Vaughn's, came back to the spot and showed everybody what he caught. Is that true?
They were that big.
I got to defend my boy. I took him out, showed him how to fish, showed him where to go to catch him, and we were catching fish in the snow. Everybody else was miserable. But Lonnie had the biggest smile on his face. He was so happy. I'm a lot different than most people out here. I grew up basically a country boy. My dad's from Alabama, grew up under Jim Crow, came out here. He was a police officer too. And that's something that is an amazing story to hear. And the older I get, the more stories my dad tells me about growing up in Alabama under Jim Crow and the things that happened out there. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know hardly anything. My dad was very private about that stuff because he didn't want it to be seen, I don't think, and to be known necessarily. But it's gotten older and we can go out and go talk. He tells me these things of what happened out there. And he was able to come out here and become a police officer. How? I don't know. I think if I grew up under Jim Crow, I'd be an angry, angry man.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, I had a question. When you were talking earlier, Jason, gosh, I wish I would have wrote it down exactly kind of how you said, just so it can hopefully make a point. But I think Kristina was saying, was asking if you heard, or if anyone had said that what would happen was not wrong or something like along those lines. I heard today that the autopsy came out, and the person that performs the autopsy declared it a homicide. Have you heard that yet?
I be honest with you, I have not, but I would be shocked if any other thing came out.
Because the other day, I think maybe yesterday or the day before, I heard that the original charge, and I don't know if it's changed yet, was I think second-degree murder,
third degree,
or
third degree.
Oh, third-degree murder. What are the difference? What are the top? I don't know how many there are, but what's like first, second, third? What's the what's manslaughter? What's the difference?
Every state has different rules and laws and how they charge things. They're not all the same, but generally, first-degree murder is some premeditation.
Okay.
I think they went with third-degree murder. With this incident, if you take out race out of this incident, do I think, and I'll be honest with you, do I think race had something to do with this? I don't think it did necessarily. I think this was a bad cop. Point blank, bad cop that did something horrific. Did you have to prove for the first-degree murder charge that he had some premeditation towards that? And that's where things can get difficult in proving in a court of law. You got to convince 12 other people that this guy was premeditated with it. Just like manslaughter charges are usually like traffic accidents. You didn't mean to cause someone to die, but you did something dumb like run a red light and you killed someone. You're still charged with manslaughter. They can charge you with murder on DUI convictions now because everyone knows drinking and driving is bad. So they have what they call a Watson advisal, where they can charge you with murder now, not first-degree murder, but they can get a murder charge. So a lot of times what is charged on people is what the district attorney can prove in court. And convincing 12 people of something, especially nowadays, is a very, very hard thing to do. Because you're going to have 12 people come in, they're going to listen to things, and everybody perspective plays a big role in it. We all have a different perspective, and you got to convince 12 people that this guy had premeditation and knew he was going to go out and do that. Are they going to prove that? I don't think they can prove that. Can they prove this third degree? I believe they can. Absolutely. I don't know all the facts. The only facts I have are the same facts that everyone else has from watching the video. So I don't have any insight that anyone else doesn't have. The only extra insight is how I would have acted as a police officer differently. And that's all I have to go on. So it all depends on what they can prove, and that's hard. You go to courts all the time and deal with this stuff. Like we go to arrest people for one charge and they plead out and do other things because it's easier for the DA to get a conviction on this, or they let people plead out to it because it's sometimes easier on the families. So the family doesn't have to go through this long drawn out. Obviously, this case would be very drawn out and in the limelight. Does his family want to see this portrayed like that and see how many times do they need to see their baby boy, their brother, killed on TV? How many times do they need to see that? They don't need to see that. And I hate that we sometimes over and over again, because what is it doing to this family? If you had to see that, can you imagine seeing your brother killed or someone very close to you killed? And it's how many times has that picture been burned into the family's brain? And so it may be that this gets to be played out. I don't know. Because you look at high profile cases, you look at the OJ Simpson case, how that played out, how long that lasted. So that's a big factor in it, and the district attorneys get to decide a lot of things, whether they want to file this charge or that charge, and what can they prove. They may know you did this, but just because I know something doesn't mean I can prove something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. And that's how it mostly is nowadays. You have to prove something to like you said, they can't prove it's premeditated. And it might have been. We don't know that guy's thoughts. We don't know his heart. We don't know what he was thinking. Like you said, he's a bad cop. And does it?
All right, we lost Lonnie there for a second. Are you there, Lonnie? Are you guys seeing the same thing I am?
Yeah.
I apologize. My internet connection is awful right now.
We hear you now.
It's because you traded me in for spade partners, bro. I taught him the game, Kristina.
Well, I got a question.
Who does not know how to play spades? Don't tell anybody.
I got a question for you, Jason. Kind of a what if situation. Obviously, there were a total of 4 officers that were there. I only saw 2. The one with the knee on his neck, and the other Asian officers sort of standing guard. Do you remember that? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think I know the answer, but I just want to know. I mean, just from your side, is there? Let's say you were on that crew there. You were part of that 4, and you saw what was happening. What would you do? How would you intercede or what would have been your reaction? What would you have done if you saw that you're pulling up to the scene as backup and you saw that happening? Is that something you can share what you would do?
So, I mean, anytime you're in a situation, so we don't see, and at least I haven't seen all the beginning of what happened and the what ifs, but 2 wrongs never make a right? Mm-hmm. So no matter what he did, and I don't care, you fight me, we can be fighting tooth and nail. I'll tell you right now, and I've been in some knockdown, drag out fights. But once you're in handcuffs and I have you, you put people on their side. Positional asphyxiation happens. Put them on their side, you want to sit them up. And I was talking to partners about it because they said the one guy talked about excited delirium. And then the one guy who's the senior guy there says this or that. And it becomes something where you need to be very confident as an officer. When you see something that's wrong, you take care of the wrong. Okay. Just because you're wearing a badge doesn't make you right all the time. Do we make mistakes? Yeah, we're human. So we make mistakes. And some guys get caught up in it. It's a very hard thing. I don't know how many of you ever been in a knockdown, drag out fight or had someone spit on you. And natural reaction when someone spits on you is to punch them. Even if they're handcuffed, I've been spit on by handcuffed people. I can't punch you. Only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to throw a spit bag on your head. And you're going to feel like that. But sometimes human reaction also plays a key into this. And you're never going to take human reaction out of things because we're human. But officers in different parts of the country are trained different ways. We can go from being in the knockdown, drag out, or even in a shootout. I've been on scenes where been shot at and a shootout ensues, but as soon as bad guy's down, he goes from being the bad guy to now he's a victim and we need to treat you. So I go from, man, you're trying to kill me and I want to stop you to, all right, now I want to save your life. Just like that, things change quickly. And sometimes human emotion plays into it.
And that's a lot of hard things to process.
Yeah. Right.
Until you get there in those positions, it's hard. But can we do it? Yeah, there's people that can do it. Some people do it better than others. Is that an everyday thing where we're in these knockdown, drag out fights? No. Do we get in shootouts every day? No. It's nothing like TV. Most of the police work is writing reports. I tell you, I spend more time writing reports than anything else.
And eating donuts?
Oh, I do like donuts. They are very delicious. Did you take some up there for me? I'll bring you some.
No, but we do got some Eric Schatz bakery cake. So I did stop in Bishop and get some good cake. So,
but as officers, we're responsible in the end for not only us, but for the other ones out there. And like I've been told before, and I've told other people, the only person in this world I can control is myself. I've been married to my beautiful wife for 20 years. I can't control her. I can tell you that
no,
right
you can't.
I can't control my kids. I can suggest things to them, but in the end, we're all going to do what we want to do. I can only control me. Now, if I see officers doing wrong, I'm going to correct them, and we're going to have a conversation depending on what they did, whether it's little or big. If it's something big, then they're going to, if it's something criminal in nature, then we're going to have to go and they're going to have criminal charges against them. I don't care who you are, what you look like. Me and my family come first. Mm-hmm. One day I'm going to have to answer for everything I've done in this world. So, and when that day comes, I hope I'm judged by who I am. Not, hey, I like this guy, so yeah, wink, wink, you can get away with that. No, absolutely not. But it's me. So I will do what I have to do, but I feel comfortable in being me. It's just like in any other job. Sometimes you get supervisors to tell you to do things. People know that probably isn't the right way to do it or is wrong, and they do it anyway. And how often do people complain about that? Until something bad happens is when you're like, ooh, I should have said something. But just talk about it up front. Is there a thin blue line? People always talk about it. Is there? I don't think it's what people think it is, but will I support my fellow brothers and sisters out there on the lines? Absolutely. Am I willing to give my life for the cops that I don't know? Absolutely. But the same for any of you. It wouldn't be a doubt in my mind that I never met you, Kristina, but I'd take a bullet for you. I'd gladly give my life to save you, Lonnie, David, and just about anybody out here.
And we appreciate that.
And that's a hard thing to do.
And I mean, you just touched on, I mean, in part of praying over this whole situation, I am praying again for the safety of, officers like you. And again, I'm thankful for your service. When I'm in trouble, I call the cops. I'm thankful that I have that option. And I'm praying, for boldness, for those that see wrong, that they will take action. And it's wonderful to hear that, that's something that you do. And then I'm also on the third note praying, that, God will do like he did with Gideon, and he will weed out, the officers that are not in it for the right reasons. But I'm so thankful that, again, we do have good officers. You talked about Tillman earlier, and that actually came up in the conversation my mother had with that officer yesterday. I actually go to church with Mr. Tillman and his wife and family. And it's true, there are a lot of amazing things happening and a lot of amazing officers out there, and I'm thankful for them. But again, I'm also praying that those who are doing wrong or have bias, that God will open their eyes to see people through God's eyes, and that they will be convicted of wrongdoing and bias. That's something I pray for. And also, for those in the comments, I don't know how to reply to your comments, but thanks for praying for the Floyd family. I think that's awesome.
Amen.
And I do got to say something about Tillman. He got the dance moves, man. I've seen some viral videos of that brother.
Oh, yeah.
He got the moves, man. You know what I mean?
He does.
No, but he's doing a great thing. We do want to give a shout out to Breaking Barriers United. You guys, he has a podcast, a video cast. It's a beautiful thing. He doesn't beat around the bush. He'll every single incident that comes to his attention involving police officers, he brings it up. He shows the video and he gives his take on it. And he gives a Christian perspective take and an officer on the street take. So we definitely support Ryan Tillman and all his ventures. And it's a beautiful thing that we could come together here and discuss these things without, hatred and anger and everybody getting mad at each other, and it's awesome. And I really thank you, Kristina and Jason, for coming on. It's, spur of the moment, last minute thing, and you guys really did an awesome job sharing your perspectives, sharing your opinions, and the bottom line to everything is everybody needs Jesus.
Amen.
That's the bottom line. We all need Jesus. If everybody had Jesus, sorry, Jason, you'd be out of a job, bro. If we wouldn't need police officers if everybody had Jesus.
Very true.
You'd be in the unemployment line, brother. I apologize.
If that ever happened,
but
I had to step in that line.
Jason, by the way,
amen.
You said earlier that you would take a bullet for any of us. Sunday morning, when we go to church, in case people decide to roll up on Calvary Chapel, you mind I sit next to you then?
I got you, bro.
And Lonnie too. Lonnie will be on my right. You be on my left.
You're not part of his family unit. You can't have to stay 6 feet away from him, David.
6 feet, bro. You can
CDC guidelines.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I do got to say about George Floyd. I didn't know George Floyd.
Just 1 minute. Love you guys.
Sorry, Kristina. I know you got to go here pretty soon.
Right after this, I'm so sorry. That was so rude. I thought I was on mute.
No worries. We're gonna be closing up here pretty soon. I do got to say about George Floyd. From what I've read, from what I see, he loved the Lord, and he gave his heart to Jesus. So he is in a better place now. No more suffering, no more sorrow. And if anybody protesting and it's getting violent or bad things going on, just remember George Floyd. If you're protesting for George Floyd, he was a peaceful man. He wouldn't have been out there doing those. He wouldn't have been out being in. His brother today came and got on his knees and prayed for a crowd of people, and he loved the Lord. And if you want to stand up for George Floyd, go to church, read your Bible, follow Jesus, because that's what George would have wanted. From what I don't know the brother, but from what I've read, from what I see, from what I hear from his family members and perspectives, he loved the Lord, and so that's how we could stand up for him, is by serving him, by serving Jesus. I really believe that.
To somewhat echo on that, if you're at the protest, and I fully support you to be out there and do that, want to have your voice heard. If things start to make a turn, and you see people doing dumb things like throwing rocks at windows, trying to break in loot, or throwing rocks at the cops, time to pack your stuff and go home, because obviously that's not what you came for. And I think if people start doing that and just leaving those few idiots that are doing that out there and not got caught up in the moment, because I honestly believe that most of these protests start with good intentions and are hijacked. As soon as they're hijacked and people start talking about doing dumb stuff, get your stuff and let's go somewhere else, have our voices heard there, and let them deal with the aftermath of it. Because unfortunately, once rocks and stuff start getting thrown, that's when law enforcement's going to use tear gas or rubber bullets and stuff like that. And there's usually plenty of warning, and they know what's going on. But as soon as you see it, go. And I think now it's getting crazy all times of day. They're doing it usually at night, but have your voice heard and leave the area and don't get caught up in it. Because unfortunately, I think a lot of good people and probably some people that call themselves Christian brothers were there. They see what's going on. They get up in that mob mentality and see things happening, and they just participate in it. But you got to start thinking. You got to look to remember. You may not get caught and go to jail behind it, but God's looking at you. You're gonna have to answer for that TV that you took that day, or I saw someone run out with some weaves. You're gonna have to answer for it. One day, you're gonna have to answer for it. And if you're a good Christian brother or sister, you don't want to be caught up in that and let that mob mentality take over. And I think that's what's gotten most of this started. 3 or 4 bad people. Then the mob mentality kicks in.
Yeah, so David, take back those TVs and those Vans shoes that I saw you on Instagram with running down to the street. Take those back, David.
I told you not to say nothing in front of Jason, man. So, Kristina, you have to leave. Is that what?
All right, everybody. Kristina.
Thank you so much. It was such a blessing talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'll be praying for each and every one of you. God bless you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you, Kristina.
God bless. Take care.
What's up, kid?
All right. Well, it was a beautiful time. Thank you, Jason, for coming on, sharing that perspective. As a Black police officer, and it's, like you said, it's you're on both sides of the fence. They hate, people might hate you because you're Black. People might hate you because you're a police officer. People hate you because you're a Black police officer. But like you said, you do you. And you know who you have to answer to in the end. And I know you, brother, and I know you will hear, well done, good and faithful servant. So just keep on doing you. Christine, we thank Kristina definitely for sharing that perspective. And that situation with her brother could have went wrong. Like she said, her brother has a temper. The cop could have had a temper. Something, bad situations happen in a matter of an instant. A split decision, like you said, Jason. You're shooting at one person one time, the next time you're rushing them to the hospital to save their life. It's just like that, and people don't realize that officers, that people have to make decisions quick and in a blink of an eye, a second. And do we always make the right decisions? Of course not, because we're human and we're flawed and we're full of sin nature. But we thank you, Jason, for coming on. I will see you tomorrow.
Well, here, check this out. Before we kick them out, bro, I know we didn't talk about this, but there's something we do with all our guests. And you are a last minute guest, but we don't want to exclude you from the fun that we have with our previous guests. And this is just stuff that we do, and we we have to do it. So I got two things.
We have to do it.
But I know that you waited until Christine was gone before you did it.
Well, she had to go. She had to go pray.
She had a prayer meeting.
Yeah,
that's way more important. That's way more important than what we do. So prayer is way more. If you got to pray, that's way more important than a bunch of knuckleheads talking. So,
all right. So I got a question. Okay, I got a question, and then we'll get to the fun part. And this is just something I like to know. And the answer could be what you're doing right now, but I just want to ask it anyways. If money wasn't an issue, if you didn't have to worry about money, and if you didn't have to worry about anything like that, if there's anything else you could do in your life, what would it be?
If I wasn't a police officer, my second choice in career would be a financial planner.
That's very boring.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to start calling you Andy.
I love going into stuff. I talk to people a lot about it. I mentor some of the younger guys from work in it. But I like to help people, and being a police officer, being a financial advisor or planner, and that's probably what I'll do when I retire. Because if you can get people to learn how to manage money, you can change their entire life. You can change generations. I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey, and so my take on money from him is very biblical in nature. Everything he talks about comes from the Bible. How to do it, and that would be what I would do if I couldn't be a police officer. I'd want to be a financial advisor.
Okay. And
wow,
now
I did not see that one coming. Wow.
Yeah.
What did you think I would do?
I don't know. I really didn't. I knew the question was going to come, but I really didn't know. I don't. Maybe professional fisherman. I don't know. And Angel says, "Why are you so cheap then?" Or is that why Jason is so cheap?
I'm fiscally responsible.
That's because Angel gets $100 bills. They fall out of his pocket. And he don't even care. He don't stop to pick them up.
Make all sorts of money. He's got
Angel
falling out of his pocket.
Angel, you were the first guest on the show, so step back, bro. Step back.
All right, Jason. Here comes the fun part, bro. We call this the lightning round. You ever heard of the lightning round?
Dun, 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 dun.
We'll see how fast I am. You got to think.
Okay.
You got to be slow to speak. That's what the Bible told me.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Wait, stop. David. Before we do the lightning round, did you make some intro music to the lightning round?
No, not yet, bro. I mean, I can't do everything for this show.
You could just drop that same.
You're the one who wants the power. You're the one who wants all the power and wants to make all the. You
drop something quick. Come on.
I just muted him. I'm that when he gets crazy like that, I just mute him.
Bro, God is gonna judge you for muting me. I'm telling you right now. Lightning round.
Make some lightning. Okay. Cake or pie? Cake. Did you say cake or pie?
Cake.
He said cake. Okay. Pay attention.
Godfather or Star Wars?
Godfather.
How many times did you sneeze in the last 7 days?
No say.
Count them.
Well, you can't sneeze now because they're gonna look at you like you got COVID, right, or something.
The COVID's gone. Remember, it's not on the news.
Oh yeah. Do you like the word dapper?
No.
You're dapper, bro.
Big dogs or small dogs?
Come on, bro. What type of dog?
Big dog. Come on, bro.
Big dog, son.
Bro, this is for the viewers. It's not for you, man. How many hours of sleep do you need?
Do I need?
Yeah.
Oh, I say I need 8, but how many do I get? 4 or 5 if I'm lucky.
Okay. Here's a good one. Are women complicated?
Have we any figured? I've been married 20 years, still haven't figured out mine.
All right, here. Say good day, mate, in an Australian accent.
I'm not Australian, mate. Well, I can't say good day, mate. Hey, I'm from Lower California.
Come on.
Come on, participate, bro. Just say it.
Come on, mate.
Alabama accent.
Try it.
Alabama accent when I talk.
Try it. We want to hear.
It's about as good as
we just want to hear it. Come on.
Now my phone is good day, mate. That's about it. I'm country.
There we go.
How often is it healthy to cry?
I don't know. Whenever you need to.
Okay. What's your favorite carb? Bread, pasta, rice, or potatoes?
Oh, taters.
There you go. If you could ask God one question, what would it be?
Oh, how do you make David?
Oh, that's a good question right there, boy. I got so many I'd like to know. No.
That's not a lightning round question. That's like a theological thinking, sit back and.
All right, 2 more. Stale Sour Patch Kids or fresh circus peanuts?
Circus peanuts.
Okay, last one. Paper or plastic?
Plastic.
There you go. Lightning round, folks. This is Jason on the lightning round.
Angel said a comment. Lonnie, can you come up with the questions next week? I do agree with you, Angel. I agree with you. I don't know if they're getting better or worse. David did put a post out this week or last week, and he said help him out with the lightning round questions. If anybody has any lightning round questions that you want to hear our guests, shoot them out there. Send them to us. Put them in the comments. Send us a message. Email us. Get back to us with the lightning round questions. We are here to speak about what you want to hear.
I did enjoy Angel's lightning round. I liked it. He has a favorite kid. We found that out real quick.
Oh yeah.
He didn't even put off on that one.
I thought Buggy was going to be his favorite kid because she's his favorite daughter. So I didn't know,
Hey, at least I didn't ask you if you would get a hug from Voldemort.
Voldemort, get it right.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, he never mind. It's don't even ask. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was the lightning round with Mr. Jason. And like I said, we definitely appreciate you, Jason, coming on last minute, taking your time and sharing these facts. Kristina, we definitely appreciated her too. And we will pray. Everybody pray for the Floyd family, like Kristina said. And like Jason said, if you're going to protest, go out there and protest and stand for what you want, but do it peacefully. Peacefully is the only way to do it. Otherwise, everything you're standing for means nothing as soon as violence, looting, rioting, any kind of vandalism starts. Because guess what? If you're protesting against the police, or you're protesting against white America, when you're destroying businesses, when you're destroying people's cars, all those businesses that were destroyed, I'm sure none of them are owned by police officers. All those cars that were destroyed, I mean, it's not getting nowhere by destroying, vandalizing property. It's not getting nowhere. So just don't do it. Stand up for what you believe, but do it with a loving heart. So Jason, we thank you, and we will. I'll be seeing you soon, my brother.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. I'll teach y'all how to fish. You got to close it out.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you.
Close it out with a Jesus, though, for us, Lonnie.
Jesus.
There we go. Y'all gentlemen, have a good night.
All right.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Brother. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our third episode of this.
You have just tuned into the greatest podcast on the planet, the DL Connection. Keep talking, keep rocking with the best. Until next time, stay safe and stay blessed.